We're here at Moses Cone National Park in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, and today we've got two separate workouts going on. Three of the male resident athletes, Andrew and Griff and Tyler, are going to be doing a workout that involves 20 minutes of tempo-based running with some gear changing within that 20 minutes of tempo, where they'll actually change gears a few times every 3 minutes. And following that 20-minute piece, they'll take a rest and then do some flatter, faster intervals here on the lake. Some 1,500 repeats, some 800-meter repeats, some 600 repeats, and some 400 repeats to finish. The other session that's going on today is one of our other resident athletes, George Alex, and he will be doing a very simple 30-minute progression tempo. Progression meaning he will start moderately, and about every 5 or 6 minutes pick it up to the point where he's running at about 85 to 90% of his max heart rate for about the last 5 to 7 minutes. And those are our two sessions today, and we've got a blustery day in the mountains, so it should make it for a nice challenge. And right now they're warming up, and for us a standard warm-up is somewhat Canyon-esque. We start our warm-ups very slowly. It's generally about 20 to 25 minutes of running to begin. Generally the first 5 to 6 minutes is very, very slow, as much as 2 to 2.5 minutes slower than their 10K race pace. And by the time they finish that 20 to 25 minutes, they're running actually quite quickly. They'll run the last 5 to 7 minutes of their warm-up between 5:30 and 5:45 per mile pace, moderately, elevate the heart rate, introduce a higher level of lactate in the bloodstream, and then they'll do a series of moderately paced strides, a few light drills for neuromuscular recruitment, a few strides or accelerations that are of moderate intensity, and then they always finish off. We always do a few accelerations and strides where they're moving quite well, more along the lines of mile race pace kind of effort. That's the full context of the warm-up. Obviously, it allows the body to be prepared for harder running and decrease the risk of something happening to soft tissue. We starting? Hey, so and Tyler's done this session obviously exponentially more than the rookies here, but just remember the flat section it's tempo based but slightly off tempo because you're gear changing off of it. So you'll turn the corner at the 400 mark and it's gear change. There's 3 gear changes. The final one is basically where the steps are to lead up to the cars. And how assertive is that final gear change? It's not a top-end sprint. You know, it's kind of like maybe like a 90% effort. But having said that, I'd like to see each loop be a little quicker than the previous is sort of the ideal. And I will say the last couple loops of those 5 you run, let's make the gear changes also a little more assertive. And then the downhill sections, it's a float, but it ain't a slush. Best way to put it. All right.
And you want to assume 2 400s first, right?
Yeah, so we're going to open with 2 quarters, just out. I marked the 400.
Yeah.
90 seconds rest, come back here.
Okay.
All right, and those are more just effort-based. Whenever you guys are ready. All right, let's go. You know, as I mentioned, we've got two things going on. We've got the tempo-based 20 minutes, which has gear changing within it, and then the intervals to follow. But even preceding the tempo portion, I do this quite a bit. A lot of coaches do. We're opening with just a couple of 400s at like 10K effort, just to put a little junk in the legs before we start the tempo piece. These guys are about 10 days, well not about, it's exactly 10 days away from an important 10K race out at Stanford. And generally about 10 days out is the last point at which you want to do anything really specific in terms of harder tempo or VO2 max stimulus. So today they're going to see a little bit of a lot, a little bit of the quicker speed-based stuff, some anaerobic threshold stimulus work, and we're going to hit both ends of the spectrum